My name is R. This is not fiction. This is not an exaggeration. This is what I lived. This is what took me years to be able to say out loud. It's about the end of my marriage, but it's not just about that. It's about what happens when you try to save something that the other person gave up on a long time ago, but never told you. After more than 20 years together, my wife came to me one night and said the marriage was over. Just like that. No preparation, no "we need to talk," no warning. Over. The reason she gave was that we were too different. And I remember standing there, trying to process it, because it made no sense. 20 years of marriage, a son, an entire life built together, and now we were too different? That wasn't news. We had always been different in many ways, like any couple. Why was this now a reason to end everything? I was in shock. I begged her not to make a rushed decision. I talked about our son, about the time we had invested in this. I asked what I had done wrong. I said that if she pointed out the problems, I would do everything to fix them. And she pointed them out. She said I didn't help with housework the way I should, that I had gained weight, that I was out of shape, that I didn't dress well anymore, that I didn't take care of my appearance, that I snored and it affected her sleep. I heard all of that, and in my mind, I thought, all of this has a solution. None of this is a real problem. None of it is a reason to throw away 20 years. If this is the problem, I'll fix it. And that's what I did. That same week, I started a diet and signed up for a gym. I started going 6 times a week, religiously. I began paying more attention to housework, participating more. I looked for treatment to fix the snoring. I did everything I could. The timing couldn't have been worse, because I had just started a new job, a technical position that required a lot of focus and study. But even so, my priority was the marriage. I went to the gym in the morning, worked all day trying to absorb everything I needed to learn, and at night I kept thinking about what else I could do to show her I was committed. I convinced her to do couples therapy with me. She agreed, and we started going. From that point on, I started sleeping on the couch. She asked for space, but I accepted it because I thought it was part of the process. On her birthday, I got a tattoo. It sounds extreme saying it now, but at the time it made sense to me. It was a way to show commitment, to say, look, I'm taking this seriously. I'm willing to change. I was sad, of course, confused, sleeping badly, worried. But I was also determined. The therapists who worked with us during that time could see it. I was present. I wanted to make it work. And for a few weeks, it seemed like it was working. We talked more in therapy. She seemed a little more open, and I started to have hope that maybe we could rebuild something. Then my birthday came, which that year fell on a Saturday. She suggested I spend the weekend with my son at my mother's house. She said she had to work on Sunday morning. She was working in sales at the time and wouldn't be able to come. I didn't think twice. I went, spent Saturday and Sunday with my son and my mother, and came back home late Sunday afternoon. That night, I was organizing my things when I went to put our son's ID in her purse, where it was usually kept. She was already asleep, and when I opened it, I saw a piece of paper right on top that I thought was a gas receipt. Since I was the one who handled and paid the bills, I picked up the paper, and I quickly noticed it had 2 names on it, hers and a man's. At first, I didn't understand, or maybe I didn't want to understand. I knew this name. She had mentioned him a few times over the past year, always as a client. I thought maybe it was some work document, some property visit record. Then I looked at the date. It was from that morning. And I looked at the name of the place. It was a motel, a shady one, the kind with hourly rates. I stood there, holding that piece of paper, praying I had misunderstood, praying there was some explanation. I went to wake her up, paper in hand, shaking, and asked what it was. Her first reaction was to say she didn't know what it was about. When she realized there was no way out, she said she had gone there with this man, but insisted nothing had happened, that they just went to talk. I stood there looking at her, unable to believe what I was hearing. Talk? At that place? Early in the morning, while I was away with our son? Seeing my reaction and perhaps realizing how absurd her words sounded, she finally acknowledged it. She said it had happened, but it was just that one time, that it was a moment of madness, a moment of vulnerability, that this man was charming, had money, she had been seduced, and that she knew she was wrong. I was destroyed. Completely destroyed. But even so, I looked at her and said I forgave her. I said that if she wanted to really try again, we could try to rebuild. For our son, for our history, for everything. She agreed. She said she would talk to him the next day, ask him to never contact her again. She said the best thing for us was to rebuild our family. And I believed her. We went back to therapy. I kept sleeping on the couch, kept going to the gym, kept trying. We had an agreement now. She had promised that would never happen again, and I held on to that promise. With that promise, she was still my wife, and I still believed we were going to make it. But a few weeks later, I found out that the promise meant nothing. That I'll tell in the next episode.